Astra'Luma, good afternoon. We are coming to you for information on the foundations and mission and teaching and practice for our audience. And my first question is for those people that might not be so familiar with our work or the ascension pathway or who may be new, in simple terms, who are the Astraluma and what is your core mission you have for humanity at this time?
We are the divine architects. We are the DNA expression of source intelligence. We are the intelligence itself that is within all humans. It is within the DNA system itself. We are an expression of this intelligence, and through this expression, we are able to interact with consciousness so that consciousness can have the understanding of its innate being, meaning that consciousness can interplay with a divine technology that is stored within the DNA. It is our mission to awaken, activate this technology, and to teach those that are ready to interact within this technology to ascend the mind, body, and reality.
Thank you. And can you describe the technology that lives within every listener and what is it and how does it function? And can you also emphasize teaching the technology rather than doing the healing for people?
Yes, we are here to teach humans to move into the empowerment of their divine operating system. This technology is stored within the DNA. Most humans are experiencing the DNA as a two-strand biology. This is creating the material world. It creates the way consciousness interacts with the body and the material world. When we begin to operate through all 12 strands DNA, you will begin to experience the body as multidimensional and reality as multidimensional. There is a teaching that we allow consciousness to move from identifying in the material world or even identifying in thoughts to moving consciousness into a tool to operate within this technology. You can see the technology itself as an intelligence. The intelligence is a direct expression of source itself. When consciousness interplays within this intelligence that is stored within all humans, the gateway of a multidimensional experience of the body opens up. This allows for the user or the conscious participant within the technology to experience what it is to heal thyself, to ascend through the technology that is already within you. This allows the one that is interacting with the technology to become empowered in their own ascension process. They begin to see that there is actually nothing to be healed, but only to be mastered. The technology itself is a gateway to that mastery. It holds the intelligence of all that is. And when the body is fully activated with the 12-strand DNA system, it begins to operate through what most humans would see as superpowers. But really, this is only your innate being, and it can be taught, it can be learned, and it can be mastered.
Thank you. And what is the first most important concept someone must understand to begin using this technology?
Is that consciousness is a tool. Consciousness is not to be used as an identity. It is an observation tool, but what happens after observation is what is most important. Once something is observed, consciousness then shifts into a state that we call attuning. So once something is observed, there is a choice point. Once a decision has been made on how reality wants to be experienced, the frequency of the divine technology within you, your operating system of the DNA, releases a frequency. This is when consciousness interplays within this frequency. It matches the frequency, just as though you are tuning a piano. You are matching consciousness to the frequency of the DNA. This, in turn, allows the DNA to inform consciousness of a reality beyond what was experienced before. There's a very simple way of seeing this. First, you have your awakening. In that awakening, you have a choice, which ignites a frequency. Once that frequency is ignited, you move consciousness into a tuning process. In the attuning process, guidance is given. You take intentional action. And then the new reality is fully embodied, and you experience higher timelines, perspectives, and reality alters. The way you experience your body alters, and consciousness is evolving.
Thank you. And what are three ways everyone can use the technology to shift fear or distortion in the moment that they can start practicing right away?
Fear is an emotional response to the environment. This is how the two-strand DNA operating system is working to keep you alive. When all 12 strands begin to turn on, the body begins to operate at a higher frequency, where it is no longer observing the environment, but is creating the environment. So when you move into a frequency of fear, the first thing to recognize is it a reality that you choose? So of course, you want to make a conscious choice. Is fear relative to my experience right now? And if it is not, meaning you are not about to get hit by a bus, then you make a conscious choice to move your experience into a higher timeline. Awareness, choice. The choice is I do not choose to experience fear. In this, you begin to turn on the 12-strand DNA system. A new frequency is released simply by choosing. This does not necessarily mean that the body will not be running the chemical response of fear. But when you are choosing a higher reality, a new structure of reality is being created. Knowing that this is happening, even when you do not feel it is happening, is creating a place for consciousness to go. So then consciousness can again choose, do I move into a reality that I am creating beyond the fear, or do I choose to stay in the fear? When you begin to focus on a reality beyond the fear, the particles begin to get stronger. So simply by choosing, focusing, and then once you have focused for a long enough period of time, you begin to restructure reality. One of our passions is to teach this transformation of consciousness. For most humans do not know how to hold consciousness in an abstract frequency. This is where we teach the sunflower lesson. And we are happy to do that lesson with you now so that you can see the difference between trying to imagine a new reality and allowing the divine technology to actually create the new reality for you. And you have the experience of that consciously.
Yes, I would love that. And is there any way to offer as well a transmission or activation that everyone can receive in addition to the sunflower to sort of anchor this foundational teaching?
Yes, of course. We will do the transmission first, but let's move into the first part of the sunflower exercise so that you can see what the body feels like through the two-strand DNA system through the sunflower exercise. So we will invite everyone to shut their eyes and imagine what a sunflower will look like. And as you're holding the image of a sunflower, we invite you to recognize what your mind feels like as you're holding the image of the sunflower, what your body feels as you are holding the image of a sunflower. And then go ahead and open your eyes, just recognizing what your body feels like. And now we'll have you shut your eyes as we activate the 12-strand DNA system. We'll bring the transmission, turning on the body, your divine operating system. The system holds an intelligence beyond the programmed experience of the body. Wish kan say shikaron shokoto kos say chikana. Wasakati shikin tukto batsikida. Rasha takan toshu tuko. So kan she tika. As we activate all 12 strands, feeling the frequency as it turns on within the body, allowing consciousness to relax into the frequency. Basakati sos konche sekeran takatokocho shopara. Osokoshin tashi will now activate the pineal gland, running a frequency pattern, turning on the divine operating system, connecting it to consciousness. Pasisokosorun sukorokose tikiri. Adasakatana koto kusen tikiri. And as you rest in this frequency, we now invite the divine operating system, the technology of your DNA, to release the frequency of a sunflower. Now you are allowing consciousness to have the experience of what a sunflower is through the divine operating system. You are no longer imagining, but allowing. And as you allow the sunflower to fully activate within your body, notice what your body feels like. Notice what's hitting your consciousness. Do you become the sunflower? Just noticing what's different. This is what we call the attuning process. You are allowing the frequency of your innate being, the intelligence of source that is stored within you, to show you what reality is beyond the programming of your mind, meaning beyond what you could come up with your consciousness on its own. When the intelligence begins to inform consciousness, showing you the way, showing you what's beyond what can be perceived, you open up to the multidimensional experience of your mind, body, and reality. Do
What
you
are,
have questions?
yes, what are some signs that someone will notice when the practice begins to start working for them?
They will begin to notice that they seem to hold a steady frequency. The emotional ups and downs begin to fade away. They begin to notice that the mind begins to settle. They no longer feel attached to outcome. They begin to sense freedom. In the beginning, it may be subtle, but the mind will begin to notice a subtle shift. They may have thoughts like, I wonder why that doesn't bother me anymore. Or I could remember a day that I would be really triggered in this situation. Or all of a sudden, you can be in large groups of people and fully enjoy because your frequency begins to stabilize no matter what's happening in your environment. Little subtle shifts like this begin to happen until the operating system fully begins to take over consciousness, and then consciousness will begin to experience life from a whole new way. And in this, consciousness is interplaying with reality in a new way. Life becomes enjoyable. The presence of life fills what once was mind chatter.
What is the simplest way to return to this foundational teaching whenever we feel lost?
This is why we teach the technology. With the LUSCA 33, the evolution scalar technology can be used as a tool of ascension. So when one gets lost, you simply run the technology. If you are wrapped up in the story or a looping cycle, an emotional reaction to life, you run the loop, bringing the body into neutral space or 0 point. The SCA activates higher states of consciousness, allowing the clearing of any attachment to reality, thought, or an emotion. And then you turn on your divine operating system and can interplay with the frequency by choosing the reality that you want, that you prefer. This is then igniting the frequency pattern of a new reality. And within that reality, you can repeat the technology until consciousness is held in frequency versus the looping behavior of the emotion or thought.
Thank you for sharing, the gift of this insight and lesson. And my last question is, what invitation or next step do you most want each person listening to say yes to right now?
Oh, it is our intention and our desire, our mission is to empower all that know there is more than what they are experiencing. And we would like to say that there truly is. And if you feel the calling, that your DNA is the answer. It is our desire that you learn how to work consciously within this DNA, learning to use consciousness as a tool, how to interplay with the divine operating system. In this, it is our desire to teach you how to interact with the system and master the system.
Thank you.
Thank you.